Eugenia Cooney makes dolls? I'm fucking lit.
Watching Shane's video, it's such like a happy, feel-good...
And we should be happy.
It's completely covering all of the shit. Yeah. It is still there. I feel horrible that we hurt her so much. But I'd rather her be alive and hate me than not.
Your friends aren't doing anything, whatever, but I'm sure behind the scenes, I'm sure everybody was always reaching out and whatever.
There was almost like some people that like never really said anything to me like before, but then like later on were kind of like bullying me into like trying to make like decisions for me.
There's a lot in that video that was untrue.
That we care about her as bullies and brought up as bad people, and we had probably the hardest time of our lives to help her.
I don't know, it depends on how she's doing and how comfortable she feels.
I know Katie Morton. I've reached out to her. I have emails with her explaining the situation I was in with Eugenia because I wanted to help her. I tried calling the police. They kind of laughed at me on the phone. They're like, oh yeah, that YouTube girl, like, we've been there. The video with Shane is confusing to me that seemed to be missing, that no one, you know, understood that like there were so many things going on.
I don't know, it depends on how she's doing it.
That the only thing that I could do was if I had her out of her house and into my apartment or into some other area where the mental health professionals could come and talk to her, and that I would legally be able to let them into my own place. It was pretty clear that she had no intention of getting any kind of help. So they ended up deciding that they wanted to take her into care, and they ordered something called a 5150, and it's mandatory. They take you
involuntary
without
hold.
Yeah. The police were on their way because she was on the phone with her mom, who was screaming at me, by the way. She verbatim called me a bitch for doing what I was doing.
She's never allowed to go anywhere. It's all completely manipulated by the mother. There is a driver, Edgar. Every hangout with friends is an orchestrated pickup and drop off.
Walk for it, I guess, but it's all good. It's like walks one day. Is there any more walks? Oh, yeah. Oh, there we go. Oh, what?
Oh, here's an
Oh!
one more down there.
They really protect this house. Oh my gosh.
We had to do something so uncomfortable and traumatic and force her to do this, and I don't regret it, and I'm not sorry. I don't care if I'm viewed as a bully. I feel horrible that we hurt her so much, but I'd rather her be alive and hate me than not.
So I just want to preface this by saying I'm not a psychologist and neither is my mom. However, my mom is an ER nurse who is trained in recognizing the symptoms of Munchausen and Munchausen by proxy for patient safety. So I asked her about Munchausen's and this is what she told me. So firstly, Munchausen's and Munchausen's by proxy are two different things. Munchausen's is when you make yourself sick for attention, versus Munchausen by proxy is when you make someone else sick to get the attention as a potential caregiver. Now, this is a mental disorder and it is a chronic problem. So to keep things simple, I'm gonna go over things and make an imaginary checklist of what Munchausen's exactly is. Firstly, Munchausen's is a chronic problem. It is not just situational. The second little box I wanna talk about is intentionally making the child or person sick or enabling the sickness. Simply saying a person does not have another person's best interest in mind, that is not Munchausen's. It has to be specifically making or enabling a sickness. So if a person were to do something to hinder a recovery process, that would technically be enabling an injury or sickness, and that would check this box as it's enabling the sickness to continue. And the last little box is the motive for all of this, which is attention. There has to be a desire for attention, material gain, fame, whatever. Basically, people saying, it must be so hard for you. Let me help. Let me do this for you. Some of it is verbal admiration, validation. Some of it is material. There are some people that are just so desperate for that attention that they're willing to go to these lengths and make another person sick for it. If the person were above the age of 18 in the US specifically, they would technically be responsible for themselves unless they sign a conservatorship or something like that. This means that the actual person affected would be responsible for everything. However, the person causing all of it, so the person that actually has Munchausen by proxy, they would just be considered an accessory in whatever crime or whatever thing takes place. They would simply be an accessory. They wouldn't be directly responsible. Now, I'm not trying to get sued, so, I didn't want to mention any names in this. However, if something checks all of these boxes, it would not be incorrect to call it Munchausen by proxy.
Her mom was here somewhere.
Yeah,